Hello crafty friends, my name's Tanya from Ink Responsibly in Australia, and today I'm going to share with you a quick tutorial on how to make these super duper cute mini album gifts. So this one I have a button which is just on with a glue dot, and you open up your suitcase to reveal an accordion style mini album. And this one here opens up and similar there. So this is really quick and easy. Let's get started. For this project you're going to need a 12 by 12 inch sheet of basic black cardstock, a strip of soft suede, this is 2 inches by the length of an A4, a 10-inch long piece of hat elastic, that's the thin circular hat elastic, some chocolatey coloured, this is chocolate chip, just an offcut of cardstock, and to decorate, if you're using 12 by 12 inch cardstock DSP, you're going to need 1.5 sheets, and if you're using the 6 by 6 inch DSP, we need anywhere between 4 or 5 sheets of this. So let's get started. Now to begin with, you're going to do some scoring. So we're going to just pick one of the sides, they're all the same, and our first one is 2.5 inches, 3 5/8, 8 3/8, and 9.5. Then you're going to quarter turn it, and we're going to do 1 5/8, 2 3/4, 7 inches, and 8 1/4. And this is what you will have. Now we're going to do a little bit of cutting. Now you can use your trimmer if you like. I like to use my large scissors, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut down this line. Okay, so on all of the pieces we're going to remove this section, okay, and then I like to cut there, and then just repeat that over here. And this is what we're left with. Okay, so now we're just going to fold along each of the score lines. Now we're just going to cut up on these squares. So we're cutting up the side that has the largest and the smallest. So I've cut these flaps and just repeat it to the other side. So once we've cut our shape and folded along the score lines, we're going to start decorating our box. Now I like to round my corners at this stage, but you could certainly keep them unrounded, or if you had a decorative punch that would look beautiful as well. So all of my corners except for my little glue tabs I'm going to pop in and round. Okay, The next step, what I do is I go ahead and write down what all my measurements are, reducing 1/4 of an inch. And I also put down how many I need. So to cover this piece, I'm going to need a piece of DSP measuring 4 by 4.5. And underneath I'll write how many pieces I will need. So with that all done, I can start cutting my DSP. So I like to do the outside first. So for the bottom flap, I'm going to need a piece that's 3.5 by 4.5. And I'm going to have to round my corners on this piece as well. And that is going to go inside there, leaving a nice 1/8 of an inch margin all around. So I'll just go ahead and cut all my pieces. So now that I've cut my pieces, I'm going to make sure that I round my corners. And then I'll ink around the edges. I'm using soft suede and a sponge for this. Now that that's done, I can go along and start sticking these in place. Now, because it's not structural, I am going to use my snail for this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my suitcase together. For this I'm going to use fast fuse because it's extremely strong. So I'll just show you again which sides I'm putting the adhesive on. So if this is laid flat and this is the outside of our box, I'm just putting glue on each of these tabs, and let's put it together. So fold these up to their side, and when the edges meet, stick that down. Again, for this one here, folding it up, and when the edges meet, go in for the stick, and repeat that for the other two. So there is our box. Now we need to repeat the process for the inside panels, with the exception we're not going to put any pattern paper in here. Okay, now there's a few pieces we're going to wait until the very end before we stick them down, but we can put down our side patterned pieces. So again, this is decorating the inside. Okay, so I'm going to keep this till the end. So to make our handle, what I've done is I have a piece of soft suede cardstock. Now this measures 2 inches by 6 inches, and I've scored it down the middle at 1 inch and then 1/2 inch either end. What I'm going to do is fold along this score line and burnish that down well, and you could put a little bit of adhesive in the center to help hold it down. Now I'm going to place 2 holes on either end, and this is where we're going to pop some eyelets in. Cancel. And that's where I'm going to pop in a couple of brads, which will work out as the anchor for this. So using a hole punch, and then on the side just pop in 2 more holes, and this is where we're going to put our charm. So on this one I'm just going to set 2 eyelets, like so. Now for setting our handle onto our suitcase, just place your handle on there and draw in the marks where the holes are. Now I'm just going to use my piercing tool to pop in 2 holes. As you can see, I made a mistake here and accidentally tore some of the pattern paper, but that won't matter once we have this in place. So using some small brads, I'm just going to fasten them in position. Now you'll also notice I don't have my pattern paper on this top side of my suitcase. So there is one side. And now we can just bend that a little and we can fasten our other side. One. And these brads will help to keep that corner join nice and strong. Okay, so there's the ends of my brads. So now I'm going to take my patterned paper for that section and pop that over the top of my brads. Like so. Right, now we are going to create our elastic closure. So on each corner here, roughly 1/2 inch in from either side, I'm going to pop a little mark there, and I'm going to use my 1/8 of an inch hole punch, and I'm going to set that with an eyelet either side. So pop my eyelet in and just squeeze that down. So the first thing I need to do is mark out where I'm going to put my closure. So on this one I've used a button, and on this one I've used a decorative brad. So the first thing I need to do is find my location. So I need to find the center here. Now your center will be 2 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to put that there and mark it, and approximately 1.5 inches up from the base of your suitcase. So here is where my anchor point is going to be. Now I'm going to use a brad as the anchor. Now what we need to do is I make up a little jig. So to get that, because we don't want our brad to be flush with the cardstock, otherwise it won't hold the elastic properly. So I've got some thick chipboard here, and you can also stack up layers of cardstock to create a shim. But I've gotten the thick cardstock, and I'm just simply cutting straight from where the hole is. Now when I place my hole through here for my brad to go in, I pop my brad in, but I don't want it to be flush. So if I just pop this underneath and then open up the legs of my brad, when I remove that, I'm going to have a little gap in between the cardstock and, can you see that? And the brad. And I'll show you why that's important in just a minute. So just feed your elastic through either side of your 2 eyelets, and then tie this off into a knot. So there you go, and just snip off the excess. So now when I close those and close this, my elastic fits neatly underneath my brad. And now I can stick down this paper. So now we're ready to make the pages for our mini album. So taking whatever colour you would like, you could certainly use black or whatever base colour you've used to make your album. I'm going to use cherry cobbler. Now I have, from one sheet of A4, I have cut 2 pieces that measure 4 1/8 by 9.5 inches, and I have scored it at 4.5 inches and at 9 inches. So I've done that 2 times, and then I have one piece which measures 4 1/8 by 4.5 inches. So now we're going to put these together. So just fold and burnish along each of your score lines to begin with. And using your snips, just come along very slightly and just take a tiny bit off that 1/2 inch gap. So repeat that for the other piece. So there you go, that's all that I have cut off. Now with some fast fuse, just run that down your 1/2 inch gap, and you're going to take your other piece and just butt it up to that score line, but not covering it. And burnish that in, and repeat that again, and use it for this last piece. And when you are finished, you're going to have something that looks like this. Now, you can come along at this point and you can put your photos directly down onto here, or you could put a white photo mat as a place getter. So I have some white photo mats. And just center them onto your cardstock. So taking some fast fuse on one of the ends, so I've zigzagged that. I'm simply going to place it inside the center of my box. So that goes on like so. Now to make this easier to pull my pages out, I'm going to take my tab punch and using one of the offcuts from the cherry cobbler, I'm going to pop my fast fuse in here. And I think I'll center that. So pop that down like so. So once you've done that, you can easily pull your pages out to have a look at your photos. So now that that's done, there's only one thing left to do on our album. Taking my 1 1/4 inch punch, I'm going to grab some darker cardstock and I need to punch 7 of these circles. Then we're going to fold our circles into quarters, like so, and take your snips, and I'm going to remove one of the quarters. Now I'll start by putting these onto the back corners. So just lay some glue down. And you just lay down one of the quarters and then wrap that around. And stick that on. So I'm going to repeat that for the other side. So there are the backs of our suitcase. Now we're going to do the front corners. Now the front are going to be a little bit different because this flap opens here. So fold that in half. And remove your quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay. And remove your quarter, but on this one it's important that we place our cut edge along this side so that we still have the functionality. So again, these remind me of little Pac-Men when they're like this. So our cut side is going to be on there. And then we're going to wrap this around. And place that one on this side. And you just have to hold these front ones just a tiny bit longer. So that's the construction of our album. I hope you like it and you give it a try. It's really, really cute and it'll be a great gift for somebody, especially at this time of year. Until next time, guys, stay crafty. Bye.